In the world of luxury fragrance, names like Dior, Chanel, and Creed dominate global attention. But there's one brand that quietly carved out a niche from a place few expected: Muscat in Oman. It's called Amouage, and it was never just about perfume. Launched in 1983 by royal decree, Amouage was created to revive Oman's ancient role in the global incense and spice trade. But over the next 4 decades, it grew into one of the most prestigious luxury fragrance houses in the world. With perfumes priced as high as $500, ingredients sourced from the mountains of Jebel Akhdar, and shelves in Harrods, Selfridges, and Saks, Amouage represents something rare, a luxury brand from the Middle East that competes with the biggest European houses on scent, scale, and storytelling. So what does it take to build a global luxury brand from a country that isn't on the fashion or fragrance map? How do you scale exclusivity without sacrificing identity? And what happens when you decide to compete with Europe's biggest names, not from Paris or Milan, but from Oman? The story starts with Sultan Qaboos bin Said Al Said, Oman's late ruler. In the early 1980s, he wanted to create a brand that could represent Omani heritage on the global stage. Oman had long been a hub for trade, especially frankincense, myrrh, and rose oil. These ingredients had been prized in ancient Rome, Egypt, and China. But modern consumers had forgotten Oman's role in fragrance history. So the Sultan commissioned the creation of a perfume house that could change that. From the start, Amouage wasn't meant to be mass market. The first release, Amouage Gold, was developed by French perfumer Guy Robert, the nose-behind classics for Dior and Hermès. It was opulent, layered, and complex, a direct challenge to European luxury. The bottle was handcrafted, gold-plated, and inspired by traditional Omani architecture. Amouage launched as a statement. It wasn't trying to follow trends. It was telling the world, this is what Omani luxury smells like. Most luxury brands scale by going mass premium. Amouage did the opposite. Instead of chasing department stores, it focused on exclusive partnerships, standalone boutiques, and slow, deliberate expansion. By the 2000s, Amouage had entered Harrods, Selfridges, and high-end perfumeries in Europe and Asia. The company focused on fragrance connoisseurs, not casual shoppers. At a time when brands like Jo Malone and Diptyque were going mainstream, Amouage leaned deeper into complexity and performance. Their average perfume contains over 50 ingredients, many of them natural and hard to source. Scents like Interlude, Jubilation 15, and Reflection became cult favorites for their depth, longevity, and identity. While mainstream brands were launching celebrity collaborations, Amouage was investing in perfumers, sourcing, and its own factory in Muscat. By 2024, the brand reported annual global sales estimated between $60 million to $80 million, according to industry analysts, with a steady compound annual growth rate of 8%, outperforming some of its more commercial competitors in the niche category. One of Amouage's biggest strategic moves was to control its production in-house. Unlike most fragrance houses that rely on third-party manufacturers in France or Switzerland, Amouage built its own manufacturing facility and visitor center in Oman. This allowed tighter control over quality, the ability to experiment, and a unique customer experience rooted in place. They also sourced core ingredients locally: frankincense from Dhofar, roses from Jebel Akhdar, and oud from regional suppliers. It was a brand decision, but also a business one. Vertical integration protected margins and ensured supply security. It also allowed for more agile production and smaller batch runs, key for maintaining exclusivity. Globally, the niche and luxury fragrance market is growing fast. It's projected to reach $69 billion by 2030, with growth driven by Gen Z and millennial consumers willing to pay for uniqueness and authenticity. Amouage sits in the same price tier as brands like Maison Francis Kurkdjian, Creed, and Le Labo, but offers something they don't: Middle Eastern heritage with modern execution. It doesn't have the marketing firepower of LVMH or Estee Lauder, but it has something those groups are trying to buy: credibility. That's why niche fragrance is one of the most competitive categories in luxury right now. But Amouage remains independent. Its customers aren't buying logos, they're buying storytelling, craftsmanship, and identity. In the last few years, Amouage has taken steps to modernize. It brought in new leadership, refreshed its packaging, revamped its digital presence, and expanded into younger, global markets. But it hasn't compromised on core principles: artisanal production, strong scent profiles, and cultural integrity. New lines like Renaissance Collection and Library Collection appeal to newer audiences while maintaining depth. As of 2024, Amouage is sold in over 80 countries, with flagship stores in London, Muscat, Dubai, and Kuala Lumpur, and a growing footprint in Asia, Europe, and the US. Amouage offers a rare example of what luxury can look like when it isn't driven by hype cycles, influencer marketing, or quarterly earnings reports. It shows that there is room in the global luxury landscape for heritage-driven, independent brands that prioritize depth over reach. Its vertical integration model gives it operational flexibility, while its tight focus on craftsmanship gives it pricing power, a formula many conglomerates are now chasing. In business terms, Amouage has succeeded by doing what most brands can't, scaling exclusivity. In branding terms, it's shown that being from Oman is not a limitation, but a differentiation strategy. And in cultural terms, it's proof that the Middle East can export not just oil or tourism, but luxury, identity, and tradition at the highest level.